But this is no. It's. I mean, you know, we you got to keep in mind that this thing is growing fast, and it does it. Besides, like the animal legs and you know maybe not having any hair and like a weird number of digits on his hands
and the important thing, the tits were too small.
Yeah.
Now we got one.
They still can't find a cure for that.
Man, this is wrong. It's disturbing. She was an A couple.
Yeah. I can balance that out. She doesn't speak English.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, good point, huh? Yeah.
However, this thing is growing so fast that, I mean, this is how I saw it. Now, I have to admit, let's take out all the jokes where it says, I will fuck anything. I was watching this and I was like, yeah, this is very disturbing. This is what I like about it. And what we're saying, people, the reason why you probably don't understand what we're trying to say here is because there's a moment in the movie where we don't really want to spoil it for you, but let's just say that this thing grows so fast, and not just physically, but, you know, somewhat with his hormones growing fast too, and it starts having a different sort of attraction towards Sarah Polley and Adrian Brody. And let's just say we didn't get to see that deleted scene where Adrian Brody was coming home from the bar and had those 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 beers and came home to the shack where they were keeping this creature. I was like, you know what? She's not bad. She's actually kind of hot.
No, that would have helped because, yeah, the movie does not contain that deleted scene. So you're left wondering, like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And all of a sudden it becomes, like, really incestuous. And honestly, it's the one thing that almost pulled me way the hell out of the movie.
It's same here. I mean, when I first saw it, it yanked me out. I was like, man, I heard there was something silly in this movie. And up to that point, I was like, what's silly? I don't think this movie's cool. And I was like, oh, here we go.
I didn't find that to be silly at all. I was like, okay. I mean, first off, I buy it. I'm like, okay, I totally see that happening. I just pretended it was Corey instead of Adrian Brody. or Woody Allen, either way.
Yeah, Woody Allen would buy this.
But then
he wrote the script. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, this is where it got really Cronenbergian.
True.
You have two reactions as a person watching this movie. You can either look at it like it's so silly that it's funny, the way little kids do in sex education class, or you can go, that's fucked up, and sit and like realize how fucked up it really is.
I had both reactions. I mean, at first I was like, this is too much. I can't buy this. But then the aftermath of it, what they had to deal with, I was like, wow, this is even more fucked up than it was before.
Well, the thing is, I think people are going to be divided because at least when we were watching in our theater, there was like an uproarious just laughter throughout the theater because people were just like, what the fuck? Come on.
I was laughing too, even as I was watching it, but I was still liking it on the level of going, wow.
By the way, Woody Allen would look at this and be like, what I did was human. That's an animal. You can't blame me.
So you're bringing incest and bestiality into this, Woody, huh? That's a great script, buddy. When do we start?
Now, you gotta love Adrian Brody's excuse. He was like, well, hey, we've been breaking all the laws of nature up to now. What's the matter what I did? At this point, why are you mad at me?
Scientists got to get laid, son.
Can you blame me? Can you blame me? Look at it.
I know at this point he was probably like, fuck it, we lost our funding. We're going to jail. I'm not going to get laid except by maybe raped by a guy. I'm getting mine before I go.
I'm going out fucking.
If that was Han Solo in the Cantina bar and he saw that thing there, he would have fucked that thing sideways.
Oh, okay? Captain Kirk would have fucked that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and everyone would be like, you go. Just so let's face it, it's not the problem isn't with how it looks, it's what it actually is that's creepy.
Yeah, that does make it creepy.
Well, Leon, I was the one that told you that it was silly, so I totally acknowledge that. And to me, it is a scene where, to some people, it works, to some people it doesn't. For me, it's kind of in both areas. I see it as silly. I think maybe that's something that I probably would not have done myself if I started making this movie, but while it's there, it did give me a reaction. I had to think about it. I was like, you know what? I'm not completely laughing because this is funny. I'm completely laughing because it's a nervous laughter. I mean, this is wrong, and I'm thinking about what's going to happen when it's done.
Right. Well, the situation that happens after that is even crazier because, and I think that's why some of us we're still drawn into it because all of a sudden it started to play out like a bad soap opera, but with Bjork and her monster legs. But I mean, yeah, because I was like, then all of a sudden as soon as that silly scene happened, I was reinvested because I'm like, oh no, this can't be happening now. Oh fuck! Now what's gonna happen? Now if somebody would have turned that film off, I would have been pissed off. I would have went to the projection and started beating him up and put it back on, push play on that motherfucker.
I feel like a criminal.
Scientists push boundaries. It's the important ones do.
Yeah, sticking to a few rules isn't always such a bad idea either, you know.
Nobody is going to care about a few rules after they see what we have made.
See what we've made? Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Yeah, sticking to a few rules isn't always such a bad idea either, you know. Nobody is going to care about a few rules after they see what we've made. See what we've made? Is that what you just said? Yeah. Nobody can see what we made.
You know what, co-host, you outlined like one of the best elements of this movie is that it's unpredictable. I mean, the whole time watching it, I didn't know what they were going to do next. And I think also like it really worked for me on the level of being a character study, which you have two good actors who are able to take this premise, which might be silly at some point, but they make it believable. And it's interesting to watch these characters where they start as this happy couple who are getting into something that they shouldn't, and it seems like they think they have control over it, but psychologically, it really takes it on its own legs. You find out more about them, and then by the end of it, you find out that like they're different people than they thought they were.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that really makes this movie work too. I mean, amongst all the other things that they managed to blend in, which for me worked more often than not. There were only a few parts where, because like this director, I'm trying to see his name. Did anybody know the director's name?
David Cronenberg Jr.
All I know is the guy directed Cube.
Cube.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which
Oh,
apparently,
really?
Yeah,
which
the first Cube.
Okay,
which
all right,
originally
sure.
this movie was supposed to be Cube Part 2.
Really?
Yeah, when he was writing it.
Really?
And then
I didn't know that.
And then it evolved into this story
How is
somehow.
this?
Must have been a big evolution.
No, it was,
He fused
yeah.
it with human DNA.
Well, the director in this, he has, you can tell he has a love for Cronenberg because they
Yeah.
create creatures that are just nothing but mounds of flesh. If you've seen Rabbit, that's what this movie reminded me of. People say The Fly, but Rabbit had the whole, not Rabbit, but Rabbit.
Rabbit, his first movie.
Yeah, it had that whole thing of genitalia being able to kill because like there were things that looked like vaginas with spikes or little things coming out of it, and
shit.
like one of the things that they have in here is like that. They create these creatures that have these little spikes that come out of it, and they look like ball sacks, a cross between ball sacks and vaginas.
I
There's a
thought they
lot
looked
of
like
reminiscence.
livers with vaginas. All kind of melted.
There's a lot of reminiscent stuff from his movies. There's a lot of stuff from The Brood in here, but
Yeah.
really, I felt like overall, The Fly was where they got a lot of the feeling from it. At least the way some of the plot developed in here. And, you know, I mean, it doesn't feel like it's ripping it off. It feels more like a tribute to it,
Yeah.
if anything. And it achieves the thing that Cronenberg is so good at, which is what's important to note, which is that kind of body horror that really just makes you feel like squirming out of your own skin as you're watching it. And yet you admire their capacity to do that to you. Because with most horror and stuff today, we're so jaded, it doesn't scare us or freak us out. This freaks us out watching
And
it.
I really appreciated that. I mean, like, this is what everything I always want from a horror movie, where it's like, hey, don't just try to, scare me with jump scares or paranoia, but, get into the psychology of what's going on.
Yeah,
here.
make me think a little. I mean, the downside is that, and this is true in Cronenberg films as well, is that the sci-fi part, the science of it is really silly.
Yes.
I mean, it's like they barely try to make it like fit actual science.
Yeah.
And Cronenberg makes it work by being so much more science fiction-y with those elements, like getting to the minutia of like really weird shit going around the fringes. This tries so hard to make it feel like it's really happening that sometimes you can't help but go, come on.
Yeah, and that's done masterfully by montages where you just see people looking at beakers going, yes, and, with quick music, and I almost want to see a banner in the back saying "Super Science."
Science!
Yeah.
Well, so they're able to carry even some of the most unbelievable parts of this movie because they are believable themselves.
Yeah.
And what makes them believable is that this creature starts to actually come between their relationship. And it's not focused on the science or the horror or anything else like that. It becomes a movie where it's like two human beings who are kind of pitted against each other emotionally because of this one thing right here. And I really admired that.
Sent in the wrong place. That's all.
Fettuccine Bellini.
You and I, Adrian Brody and Sarah Paulin, his name has become between us. No, I just thought...
It's kind of like you see a happy couple, and it's the breakdown of their marriage, but like this thing is what's caused it, but it's something that would have happened
Anyway.
by something else.
But something else. And this director, while I agree with you, I just have to say, there are moments when I say he ripped off, what's his name, Cronenberg. I don't want to call him everything, but
David Cronenberg.
David, I want to call him Peter James. David Cronenberg. There are just moments where he just pushed it to the point where I thought, like, okay, you need to pull back on the Cronenberg thing. Got to be your own man here. But I really did enjoy the movie, and I don't want to forget to mention the actual chick that played the creature, who they called Dren, which is backwards for nerd.
Right.
Remind me of that. It's a
And
French
on Farscape,
actress.
it means shit.